We're talking about boundaries this week. Freedom with the boundaries. The goal here is not to set so many boundaries that we're in a box and we're like, I can only be around these people, because your box is just gonna get smaller and smaller. Boundary setting is about being fully who you are. These are opportunities. They're not situations where we need to be the victim. They are actually opportunities to understand our own innate power. This is a 6-step process, so it's not like you have to memorize this. It starts to become natural, and the terms are in the notes. So step 1, awareness, recognizing that a boundary has been crossed, being patient with this uncomfortable feeling, letting it know wherever it is in your body. Don't worry, I know boundaries have been crossed. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm open to receive messages from my therapist or somebody's license plate. Immediately, like right after that, is compassion. I'm gonna choose you, Erin. You got this, girl. Compassion is also like celebrating yourself. Way to like totally recognize this, Erin. Let's have compassion because this is uncomfortable and I know I'm gonna have to like maybe say something. Compassion is a easy one to forget, and so is the 3rd step, which is curiosity. Instead of just going, this feels uncomfortable, I need to make a decision now, get curious. It's mine, what's yours? Is this something where I always have this situation with other people? Maybe this is something for me to get curious about. Even journaling is like, we love that. If I had a magic wand, what would I want this experience to look like? If things change, what will I be losing? How can I give that to myself? It's gonna bring you to really the lesson that's underneath. It's trying to get you to recognize some power that you are giving to others, that you can source from yourself. Ooh. I like to divide these 6 steps into 3 and 3. So it's like what you're doing on your own. It's the awareness, it's the compassion, it's getting curious. And you can still talk to people during this, but this is more the inner work. And then how you're going to move forward is the last 3 steps. We're gonna go into choosing ourselves. This is where that feeling of like sourcing from your own power, like really like kicks in, because you are starting to be able to trust yourself. Sometimes when we are so dependent on others, we kind of kowtow to whatever their preferences are because they are giving us something that we are not giving to ourselves. Sometimes it has to get us down to our knees for us to be like, okay, fine, I'll choose myself. Honestly, this is learning to walk again. This is like baby steps. I choose me. I choose me. And that can even be a mantra that you say, when you are setting some boundaries and it's not being well received. I choose me. I choose me. So what feels expansive for me? The 5th step is communicating. There's a difference between an expectation and an agreement. I would just assume that my partner would treat me this or my boss would treat me this way. And that's where the victim mentality can really come in and basically get us stuck on just a merry-go-round. Lovingly realize that this person is really testing this boundary for me so that I can strengthen this, giving me a lot of good information about what I fucking hate. Our biggest resistance to setting a boundary is having this conversation. I had to get to the point where I got physically ill, wasn't sleeping, had extreme anxiety in order to finally set those boundaries. So beautiful about setting boundaries is that we're not setting them to hurt somebody else. We're not setting them to like make somebody else wrong. We're setting them to take care of ourselves. I want to tell you that it's so easy to communicate and tell people no. I cannot tell you that. So it's going to feel uncomfortable. Sweaty, discharged, do you get that? Throw up, diarrhea. Don't take that as a sign that you are doing the wrong thing. Keep moving through that. It gets easier to the point where people are like, I'm just not even gonna ask her that. That's why the first steps are so important in order to be able to communicate and take action. So those action steps, I'm choosing myself, I am communicating while I'm shaking, And the final step is tools for transition. Expect for this pattern to reappear. We can't just set a boundary once and then it's like, hey, she got it. We are cyclical. We are spiraling in. Every time is gonna be longer the first time, and then it's gonna be shorter, and then it's gonna be shorter until we've transformed it. And then we're coming back out. And how are we expressing ourselves? And what is our experience? Having that awareness is one of our tools. Mantras. I choose me. I am worthy. It's okay if my dad is mad at me. It's okay if my kids are mad at me. That could be a mantra. Breathing, talking to a therapist, and definitely the compassion. Boundaries is an amazing way to get to know yourself, to empower yourself. Sometimes we can think this is selfish. When you are setting your boundaries and being more you are giving me permission to do the same. Thank you for being interested in this. You wouldn't be listening if you weren't. And thank you for doing this work. I totally honor your process. And